What's up guys, Jonathan here. This past weekend there were Black Lives Matter protests happening in downtown Vancouver, sparked by the death of George Floyd. I went to this historic event to talk to people in the crowd and hear what they thought of the event. I got some very interesting responses. So without further ado, here they are. What do you think of the event so far?
Seems great. Seems like everyone's positive and peaceful.
Yeah, it's good so far. Everything's peaceful, and that's what I'm happy about.
I see you're holding your sign. Can you show what your sign says? Okay. Okay, nice. It's still kind of early, but do you think it's going to turn into some sort of like physical riot?
I hope not. I don't think so. There was one yesterday that kind of got down by Main Street, and there was I know there's some like cars pushing through some people and stuff like that. I think that's about it. Kind of climaxed at that. So I hope that doesn't happen today, and I hope police are closing down roads accordingly.
Make no mistake, shit's about to go down here today, all right?
Do you think there's going to be a riot?
Oh, 100%.
Really?
You're
the first person I've actually asked that said that.
Oh my God, I can see it. There's some people here that are maybe not here for the cause, right? And that's the platform.
You can see some shady people in the crowd that have gas masks and backpacks and full masks on and stuff, and I'm like watching those people being like 99% of people look like they're here to just like raise awareness. And then there's like some people that seem angry.
Antsy.
Yeah, they seem like they're here for a different reason.
I've been at, like I said, hundreds of rallies over the years, and there's only been a few where there has been violence that has happened, and in those instances the violence was initiated by the police. So
the riots where it became violent and stuff, why do you think that happened with everybody like destroying things and that happened in the States?
I don't know like for a fact, but I definitely think that police they play a role in that brutality, and they play a role in the riots. It's not like how they make it seem like it is. It's not the people who are instigating it. It's a combination of things. I don't think people are intentionally going out to like destroy things and destroy their cities. That's not what this is about.
The cops gotta change like their attitude, right? I mean, every life matters. It doesn't matter what color we are, right? And what happened with Floyd right now, this is just crazy, right? Like, it's unbelievable.
You know, there's nothing wrong with protesting. It's just when it turns violent or if they're advocating for things that are obviously inherently wrong. And I don't think further dividing races by claiming that there's systematic racism, which there's no proof for. There's no laws in our charter or anything like that that says anything against any of these races. There's no law telling cops to go out and do these things. And you have to take these things on an individual basis. Just because one cop does something bad does not mean that they're all guilty of it, you know?
I've been coming to protests for 35 years. I've been protesting racism and sexism and homophobia for 35 years. And it's so amazing to see a whole new generation of people and such a mixed group of people coming together because of an issue. Like, I just love that. It's very empowering.
In Canada, we do have a different history than America does when it comes to slavery. Now, do you think that racism is still just as big of an issue in Canada as it is in America?
It's directed in different ways, for sure. I mean, my husband can talk about that. He's Indigenous. We have a very different history, obviously, with Black people here. It's not as big of a talking point with us, I guess, for sure. But, I mean, just take a look around you. Indigenous people are just preyed upon all the time. It's the whole system. The whole thing needs a little bit of a look out of the magnifying glass. See what we can do to make things a little better for everybody. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. I'm not well educated. But I'm a white guy. I got to use my privilege to help other people, to elevate people. Because unless we're all doing well, none of us are doing well. So little things all the time. That's all we can do.
Yeah, I think Canada probably has different issues with Native American history that we have here, and how, you know, that was still like 20, 30 years ago, that they're still breaking down walls and barriers for that. So I think that's where we have more issues.
Do you think racism is a big issue in Canada?
Oh, it's huge. It always has been, and this polite, insidious racism in Canada, because it's just been buried barely under the surface, and it makes it even more difficult when it's just, just kind of like
niceties.
Yeah.
So a guy was walking around. I think this lady knew who he was, and she just told him to leave with her megaphone, and yeah, that just happened.
You should film them instead, because they're the bad guys.
What's going on here?
Right here, these people are taking note of us and preparing to attack. We just got pepper sprayed in the center, and we have alerted all the police.
Yeah, you too, man.
And so they're trying to target us and get rid of him because they know him.
Yeah, I got pepper sprayed and the cops didn't do nothing.
Why don't they like you guys?
We are Nazis.
Because we are Nazis, we're told.
Yeah, we're just people that love people and trying to help. And these people are leftists, and anyone that's not a leftist is a Nazi. I have pepper spray now in my eyes because I'm here to try to spread love. And these people are trying to spread hate and start a fight. Like, it's stupid. They think that that's how they can fix the system. And the only way, you know from everyone, Malcolm X and everyone else, no non-violence. Non-violence.
On the political spectrum, where would you say you kind of lean?
I have qualities of both, you know, conservative in some ways and liberal in many, you know. You can't divide people by these stupid colors. There's love and there's not love. So if you pick the loving things, sometimes you're mixed into both.
How do you feel about police officers, for them or against them, or what?
To be honest, I'm Indian originally, and I've been in Canada now for the last 8 years, and like I never had an issue with the cops whatsoever. And I mean, I've traveled a lot, been to Toronto, Newfoundland, like all around Canada, and I never had an issue here. But like I've been in the States before, a couple of times, and every time I went there, like you know, I'm just brown, like I'm not even black, and like I get picked on it. I just say like I got no issue with the cops. They're good. They're doing the job. They're trying their best. But like some of them, they abuse of their power, and which is not good. Nobody should abuse.
Well, I think that, you know, there's good and bad people, and bad people can always get into positions of power, right? They say that absolute power corrupts absolutely, you know, and sometimes, yes, there's been many cases throughout history of cops purposely targeting certain races and all that, and those have all been, they're all wrong. No one's defending them, you know, no one's saying that that's okay.
I think more often than not, unfortunately, south of the border especially, they are bad, and not malicious, but they're bad in the sense that they're acting out in accordance with this institutionalized racism and inequality that we have here in Canada and the US. It's everywhere, and whether or not the individual officer realizes that they wake up in the morning with those ideas in their head, it's there, you know, and it's nagging and it's pulling little strings in their head when they go out and they see somebody, and that's what we want to get rid of.
I've run the gamut over the years of my activism, from thinking that they are, you know, that all pigs are bad, to understanding that they do play a role. I think all of those things are true. I think within the system that we currently have, that is hierarchical, and there are people at the top of that hierarchy and people that are kept on the bottom, I think they are a quote-unquote necessary evil in order to maintain this system. And I'm not sure that we have the wherewithal to change that system.
People who aren't black must say something, or does it matter, or do you think they should?
I think it does matter, because if you idly stand by and see something wrong happening and you don't say something about it, you're part of the problem. When we used to be in school and we were young kids, we would be told, if you see someone being bullied or you see someone being harassed by another kid and you just stand there and watch it happen and you don't tell someone about it, then you're just as fault as the bully.
Do you think that there is some sort of experiences that are just unique to one skin color or culture or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there seems to be a lot of people who feel that way, and a lot of people that I really love and care about that feel that way. And so, like, as much as, it's tough for me to step outside of my experience. I grew up in a really small town where it was like all white people, essentially. So like my experience is super different than someone who's maybe transplanted and came from a different place. Or, so yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's like we all have the same human, like on an individual level, but the way that the individual interacts with the society, I mean, it's going to be different.
People are killed all the time of different races and all that. You don't see that being talked about. You don't see about every time a white person or an Asian person gets killed by police. It just seems every time, particularly a black person gets killed out of some reason, everyone freaks out. They lose their minds, you know?
So do you think it's the media just like kind of like magnifying and honing in on certain particular issues and and disregarding others?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think people, they spend a lot of time now, right? Or especially during this whole COVID thing. They're spending a lot of time at home. They're watching CNN. They're watching the news. They're just and then they hype it up. They have these little taglines and all. It's almost like clickbait, right? And they get you pulled in. Oh, Trump said this. So this person did this. Doesn't that make you mad? And it's just they're feeling it. They're feeling the fire, and they're not letting people think for themselves. People need to do the research themselves. They need to look at the statistics themselves, and they need to stop listening to media and everybody else. They used to tell everybody, don't listen or don't believe everything you hear on TV. I feel like no one's really saying that anymore. They're all like, nope, stay home, watch TV. Go on Facebook, read Facebook news.
Yeah, well, I mean, even in the crowd, though, there are a lot of people of all kinds of races. Like there's, everybody, white people, Asian people, and black people. So do you think that they're divided, or do you think that the races are uniting for this one cause?
Well, I wouldn't say they were uniting. No, not really. I think if you look at it, we're seeing a lot of white guilt. I know that's to people that's a big trigger word, but it's true. Like there's no reason. I've heard people say I don't have an opinion because I'm white. I don't have an opinion because I'm a heterosexual white man. And that's no way to talk about yourself. Your opinion is the same as everyone else's here, and to put black people like with him over there, we tried to get a girl to come talk to us, and she said it wasn't her place, and that makes me wonder. I'm like, are these people really honestly thinking that they have no voice in this? Like, are they just lambs to the slaughter at this point? They're just following the narrative just blindly, not even really thinking about it. I mean, I see people in the back here. Do they even know what they're chanting in the front? Are they just cheering? Are they just cheering for the sake of cheering because everyone else is doing it? And that's scary. It reminds me of a few other points in history where that's happened, and all of them were started out of what seemed to be a good idea at first, to make everyone equal and to bring up smaller minorities and help everybody. But they ended up turning very evil in the end, and it's happened time and time again throughout history. Like we're creating the division here. This is where the division is created from. It's not created through institutions anymore. It's created over social media and funded by other organizations like George Soros and all that.
Do you think this is a positive step forward in completely eliminating racism?
Yes, of course, because a lot of people, because they could not ever take a story from us. If we come up and say this happened to me, they will never believe me. If it's out there like that, in million people watching, that would be so good for them, for the leaders, for the government to see what actually is happening in the street.
Just one final point. One issue that I'm very passionate about is the issue of father absence, which is really high in the black community. It's over 75% of children just raised without their father. Maybe he's locked up in prison, or sometimes there's a cycle where you were raised without a father, so then you walk out on your kids in the future, and it kind of repeats in that way. And there's a lot of statistics that show that lacking a father in childhood, you have higher rates of poverty, higher rates of you ending up in prison. You don't perform well in school because you can't focus, and then even higher rates of depression too. Now, I think that this is a big issue that's affecting the black community, and it's kind of not highlighted enough. And I think a lot of the suffering that black people experience is actually just rooted in their childhood and lacking that father figure. Have you guys heard about this issue before? Do you think it's a big deal? It's just one of the many issues, or is it the fundamental one that's causing a lot of the trauma in that community?
I don't think I know enough about it. I never met my dad growing up, but my mom did a remarkable job as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I had too difficult of an upbringing, but I grew up in the church, and so that was kind of my extended family. So I guess it isn't comparable. I don't know enough about it, but I think it could absolutely be an aspect of it because family values are important, and yeah, I don't really know, to be honest.
Well, I wonder in that regard if it's a stroke of a bigger picture, and in terms of, I guess, where we as a society place black people and people of color, where dad walks out on him, seems to be okay. But nice presenting white guy, church family.
Yeah.
But
grew up in a white neighborhood.
Exactly. But in the States, we're clean cut, good-looking guy. But in the States, it's a totally different picture with black people and people of color. So you wonder, is it okay? Father walked out, but how many other things are going wrong in that situation? That's just one of the things that's going on. What climate is there that's clearly causing so many deaths and assaults of black people in America versus here? Even it's clearly something's going on there. So education system's failing them. They're not showing up to school, they're smoking drugs, whatever it is, because there's more going on that maybe they don't even see a way out of it. I don't know what you would call it. Not a victimhood, but they're made victims just by the society that they live in.
Do you think that you would have grown up to be a different person had you had your father with you all throughout childhood?
I think if I'd had my dad, if I'd had like a good dad, I don't know if I would have ended up different, better or worse. I know my dad, it's probably better that he walked out. I never met him, but he's had a pretty tough life. I don't know if I would have grown up to be better. I think going back to the whole bigger picture of like what a lot of people grow up with more in the States, the parallel can be drawn up here to the reservations and sort of the self-fulfilling prophecy that comes with being born. But there's a lot of similarities between like ghettos and projects and stuff and what we have on the res up here.
If you're surrounded because of the residential school system that had such an impact on the people that are now, well, the boomers, the 60 plus and even younger, in the 90s we got our last residential school closed down. So these people were stripped away from their parents, from their culture, from their language, taught this bastardized version of whatever you want to call this society and thrown back in. They're all, there's incredible damage in the communities. So you put those people back in a confined space with just more people that have troubles and issues. It's hard to see through that. It's hard to get out of that.
I think it's a very big issue for boys to be raised without a father figure, or not even a father, like a positive male role model. I'm queer. I have lots of friends who are two-parent families, but they're both female or they're both male. And so we did talk a lot about that as queer families bringing boys into the world. Like, how do we teach our boys to be good men when we don't have that experience as two women? And so I don't necessarily think that boys need a father figure as much as they need positive male role models.
Okay. So if you find someone that you and your partner, is a good person, a good man that you guys like, having him spend time with him, here and there, come for like lunch or whatever, it will be a good overall.
Developing a relationship with that male child so that they can learn how to be a man in the world,
Absolutely. Any final statements you want to add about this event?
Just like stay positive, stay together, stay safe and home. I mean, it's a protest, but probably it's not the best time to have it with COVID on the go. So,
what's your accent, by the way?
I'm half Italian and half Indian.
Seriously? Wow. Born and raised in Italy.
Yeah.
So you can speak fluent Italian.
Yeah, Italian. And
can I hear some Italian?
Yeah, ciao come stai? I mean, well, tutto bene. Quello che sta succedendo qua in Canada adesso, potete vedere che è la protesta. Che cosa è successo in America. Just told them what was going on here, right?
Oh, wow. And you know Spanish too?
Yeah, poquito. I travel a lot in South, so I started learning Spanish.
You're very interesting of a person, man.
I speak Punjabi and Hindi.
5 languages.
English too, 5, yeah.
Wow, I thought you were from like Nova Scotia or something. That's a sound.
Well, I come from Newfoundland. I was there for 7 years.
Oh, really? Wow, man.
Moved here probably about 5 years ago.
5 years ago, okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, thank you, man.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Cheers.